Welcome to the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network, a weekly broadcast sponsored by CVC Coaching, hosted each week by industry speaker, coach, author, and educator Jerry Eisenhower. Our presentations are produced to assist business owners and managers in turning their business dreams into their business realities. And now, here's your host, Jerry Eisenhower.
Welcome to another episode, which is number 62 of the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network podcast. I'm your host, Jerry Eisenhower, and I want to thank you for joining me again today. It's always an honor, it's a privilege, and it's a pleasure to be able to speak to you in this manner. And I want to share with you something today that I've shared in the past, but I think it bears repeating because many have never implemented this process. And implementation of this process can go a very long way in taking your profits, your sales to new higher levels, and cutting back on callbacks and one of the most dreaded things that any business owner has, which is waste. So I want to thank you for joining me today, and we're going to get started in just a minute. So as we get started, what I want to do is share with you where I saw this process implemented, where I saw the differences it's making, and where I'm seeing the differences this is making in many businesses every single day. And this is the process of the morning meeting, which in lean processes is called the value meeting. In my processes, I often refer to it as the power meeting because of the power that it gives you. So the first thing I would ask you, do you actually know how much waste is produced daily in your company? Well, how much waste is produced? And when we talk about waste, we're talking about anything that deflects you or your employees from being able to do revenue generating practices. How much time is spent on callbacks? How much time is spent on going to the store to get materials, to go to the hardware store? How much time is actually spent in these endeavors? See, this is what we're going to talk about, is how to track this time and see where we can resolve some of this. You see, in my practice of coaching, I do many times an analysis of a company where we actually go to it and we visit the company on site for 2 days. In addition to that, Brandy Biswell, one of our coaches, also goes to companies and concentrates on the office processes. And this is what I often hear from Brandy when she's there. This company is bleeding money. This company is bleeding money. And I have to agree with her and I tell her, yes, ma'am. That's what I saw whenever I was there on my analysis. And this was mentioned in their analysis and strategy report that we prepared for the client upon completion. So this is what we're finding. And I want you to use these figures and take them down for your company and do some multiplication. What we found that the average company, when they actually start tracking and measuring the waste in the company, the average is over $200 a day in waste. Many times it exceeds $300 and $400 a day in waste on an average company. Now, on the surface, that may sound kind of bad, but then let's multiply it by the number of people that you have. Let's say that you have 10 employees and your average daily waste is $200 per person. That brings us to an average waste per day of $2,000. That's right, $2,000. Now, let's multiply this by a 5-day work week. And what do we have now? At 5 times 2,000, we're looking at a $10,000 a week waste for this 10 employee company. And if we take this and multiply it even further by the number of weeks that we work in a year, taking away holidays, vacations, all the other things, we see that every year, one of our highest costs that we have in the company is waste. So the first thing you have to do is come to a realization that waste affects every company. And what you've got to do not only is raise sales, but to actually raise your profits. Your bottom line is get the waste out of the picture. eliminate the waste. And whenever you make this decision, there's a process that you've got to do to be able to do this. Now, like I said, what I did was in my past years as coaching, observing a lot of companies. And one day I visited with a company and I saw that they had a lean consultant come in by the name of Bob Arbel. And what Bob had done, Bob had leaned out the company in many, many ways. And the purpose of lean, the goals is to provide value and eliminate all waste factors within the company. Bob had learned this from being a plant manager that supplied Toyota with parts, and they had to meet the lean standards of Toyota because the TPS Toyota production system is recognized as one of the most phenomenal in the world, and people that can follow this have better businesses. So let's go through what we do to have to do this. One of the ways that you have to do this is start tracking and measuring your waste. And you see, often we get so used to waste, we don't see it. It happens every day right in front of us, but we just don't see it. So the first thing we've got to do is bring it to light of what the waste is. And this is where the value meeting is so important because here's the process to eliminate waste. Every single day in business, we track every episode of waste, every callback, every time that we have the wrong directions, every time we have to take unnecessary steps. We track these on a daily basis. And the next morning before we start work, we have our value meeting. And what do we do in the value meeting? We go over every episode of waste from the previous day. And as we're going through this waste, what are we doing? We're asking the question of why. Why did we have this waste? And you see, often it rolls down to one of three reasons anytime there is waste. Number one is we don't have a process, we don't have a procedure. I've preached standard operating procedures for years. I've written a book about it. In fact, if you email me, I'll be more than happy to give you a free link to our electronic book, Standardizing Standard Operating Procedures, that a lot of people have used my 8-step process to help eliminate waste and build the processes within their company. So again, we many times find that we don't have an organized process or procedure that we're following in the company, and this results in waste because people move in their own mannerisms and develop their own individual habits, and we have everybody working in different directions. So the reasoning for processes and procedures is we have a way, a process to follow to accomplish every task within the company. If you've never read a book by the name of The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, I strongly suggest you read this book. This is going to give you some great processes for you to follow in your business and how to set up processes and procedures. So there's a lot of help for you to do this in the real world out there. As a manager, these are the things that you have to do to go to the next level. So we talked about number one, there not being a process or a procedure in place. The next thing that we often find is the process or procedure is wrong. It's not written in a way that's providing the true value we need. It doesn't provide us the means in which to eliminate the waste in our operation and create value instead of waste. And the third thing that goes wrong is someone simply didn't follow the process. But we can't automatically assume that they didn't follow the process because they didn't care or they didn't know about it. Perhaps it's the way the process or the procedure is written. Maybe it's written in a way that someone doesn't understand it. Or perhaps the person following the process or procedure has never been properly trained to follow the process or procedure. Maybe they've developed their bad habits and they are doing it their own way and not following the process or procedures put out by the company. See, this is what you're doing. You're wanting to find out in this morning meeting why things went awry. Why did we have waste? And we've got to do this with an open mind by everyone that participates. We got to make sure that everyone is on the same wavelength. We're not giving them the blame for the process. Rather, we're looking at them as telling us, how do we fix the process? It's vastly important that we fix this process. And we got to have the whole team on to this. So what you're wanting to do every day in these meetings is do your tracking and measuring. Then the day before, you had and listed all of the episodes of waste yesterday. And in the morning meeting, we're going over it. And we're picking certain things that we really want to get into and examine. Number one, did we meet our quality commitment yesterday? And if we didn't meet the quality commitment, what we've got to do is determine why. Did we meet our delivery commitment? In other words, did we do what we said we were going to do when we said we were going to do it? Did we make it to every appointment on time? Did we deliver the product or the service as was promised? This is our delivery commitment. The quality was, did we meet the quality standards that we tell our customers that we have? And now we're talking about our delivery commitments. Now, another very important thing to track is safety. Did we meet our safety standards yesterday? Were there any near misses? Did a ladder potentially slip? Did someone have a trip hazard? Did someone get something in their eye or perhaps got cut and we had to have someone with stitches put in or had to go to a medical facility? These are the things we want to track down on. What we're also tracking is, were we profitable yesterday? Did we make money yesterday? See, that's a very important thing. Did we make money when we went to work today? Did we open a business? And did we draw a return on this business yesterday? Or did we simply pay for the privilege of being in business and subsidize the business yesterday out of our own pockets? You see, a business has to survive on its own income, on its own merits. The owners shouldn't be needing their salary or having to go to borrow money for things just to meet our operating expenses. What we've got to do is make sure that every single day that we are in business and we do business, that we're operating in the black. And we have no red days where we went into the red. So these are the trackings that we do. Now, there's additional things that you can put up. We're all wanting more reviews. Are we tracking the reviews? Do we have goals? Are we meeting our sales goals? Do we even have sales goals of what we're going to sell every day and what it's going to be? Do we have these type of goals set? Do we track and do we measure our results? Now, we're tracking and measuring every single day in the value meeting, and we're grabbing the information, but it doesn't stop there. The next thing that has to happen in the process that we stress at CVC Success Group is you now have a weekly managers meeting. If you look at the book Traction, they call this a level 10 meeting. But once a week for a set amount of time, the leadership, the management of the company gets together. And they look at all these wastes that went on over the previous week. And during this, the ownership team takes responsibility to develop the processes and procedures to eradicate these waste issues. So as you start looking at this, many times you're going to find that you have major sources of waste that repeat themselves over and over and over. In other words, they happen day after day after day. We just get used to them. And so often we learn to accept them. But that's not good management. Whenever things aren't going in a profitable manner, when your business isn't bringing an ROI, a return on your investment, you've got to look down at it. You see, this is one of the things about waste. If you can reduce your waste by 5%, according to lean studies, your bottom line will improve 35%. That's right. Your net will go up. And that's what you're in business for. The reason the business exists is to bring you as the owner the return on the business to do the things that you want to do in life, not just provide you a salary. If your business is only providing you a salary, then to be honest with you, you don't own a business, you own a job. This is so adequately explained in the E-Myth by Michael Gerber. Don't just own a job, own a business. Own a business that is its own entity that produces the return for you that you're looking at. So as we come out of the weekly level 10, the managers meeting, whatever we want to call it, what we're leaving with is new processes, new procedures to eliminate the waste factors. Now we've still got to track and measure because as we come up with these new processes and procedures, you're going to have to implement them. And implementation is tough. It's going to take often more than one time of speaking to the people you lead and getting them bought into the system of lowered waste, of accountability. But that's your job as the manager. This is your job as the leader. You have to lead people. So we've got to continue the morning meeting process. As we look at this, as we start tracking our waste, what we're going to see is we're going to start making dents and cuts into this atrocious waste factor that we often determine. And companies that go through this process see after a while where they're cutting tens of thousands of dollars of waste out of the operation every year. And the great thing about this is, as you cut this waste, where does this money go? The money goes directly to your bottom line, directly to your bottom line. So this is how it starts. You got to have the value meeting. This could be called the power meeting, the morning meeting. But what we're doing here again, to give you a review, is we're going over what happened yesterday. After we go over what happened yesterday, we've got to ask the question, why? Why did this happen? What changes do we need to make to avoid this? This is done in a non-confrontational way. It's done as a team building exercise, and everybody's got to be on this wavelength. What do we do next? Once a week, we have to have our level 10, our managers meeting. Our leadership team has to get together and determine what are the processes and the procedures that we need to implement or we need to reinforce to stop this from happening. Is it additional training? Do we need to change the SOPs to where they're more readable? Or do we simply need to write an SOP where we have a detailed process to follow through? You see, SOPs are a way for you to train your new people. When you have new people coming in, do you want them to learn from passing from ear to ear where they hear everybody's, interpretation of what our processes and procedures are? That doesn't work well. It doesn't work well at all. If you were a kid or if you've ever played a game called telephone where one person whispers in another person's ear and another person, after we go through about 10 people, what's coming out at the other end is not what the person at the first said, because people will adapt what they hear to the way they want it to sound. So I'm going to encourage you, if you've not started your morning meeting process, your value meeting process, think about starting it. You need some help doing it? We've got a course on our education platform that tells you how to put together and how to manage and run a successful morning meeting. I would encourage you to get that course. Go through this. This could be one of the biggest things you will ever do to make changes, to lower that waste that you have, to lower those frustrations, to lower the callbacks, to end the chaos that can really make a phenomenal change in the way your business operates. And as you go through these things, remember, you're going to be walking many times where it feels like you're walking on glass. But this is what you have to do as a leader. You got to be brave and you got to be willing to stand your ground. You've got to be willing to dig into these waste issues. Because wouldn't it be nice to turn that waste into profit dollars? I can assure you it is. And it can make a radical change in the value of your business, and it can become a more value-oriented business. And with that, we're going to end this episode of the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network. It's sponsored by CBC Success Group. What we do is we have a mission. And the mission at CBC Success Group is to help our clients move from their business dreams and help them make them into their business realities. If we can help you attain your business dreams, give us a call, 704-425-0217. That's my direct number. You can text me there or email us at info@cbcsuccessgroup.com. Look us up on the web, CBC Success Group. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We'd love to be able to have a conversation with you and see where we can help you meet your business dreams to take your business and yourself to that level you dreamed of the day you started the business and as you keep dreaming of every single day. My name's Jerry Eisenhower. Again, it's been an honor, it's been a privilege, and it's been a pleasure to speak to you today about the value meeting, the morning meeting, and the process that you can employ to take your business to a higher level in the return that you get. That's why your business exists. It exists to help to provide you the means to have the things and do the things in life that you want to do. Talk to you next time. Appreciate you joining me today. Have a great day.
Thanks for joining us here each week at the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network, sponsored by CVC Coaching, providing you the coaching and educational outreach services you need to move to your dream destination in business and in life.